What's up, great people? Rich Vibes. You're listening to the Rich Girl Podcast, the biggest bank that offers you relief, guidance, and transformation for the soul. I'm your host and rich friend, Ty. Before we get into our rich discussion today, the quote of the day is "You can't get rich thinking poor." On today's episode, our rich discussion, we're going to be talking about plug in, how to get plugged in, if you're plugged in, what to do to stay plugged in, all the things plugged in, right? So I'm going to start off by sharing a personal story that happened to me a couple weeks ago. And so a couple weeks ago, let me preface this by saying I work a hybrid schedule, right, for my typical 9 to 5, right? So a couple weeks ago, I was sitting at my home workstation, and I'm talking about, y'all, I was being so diligent, I was being so productive, right? And I have remembered that day, it was like midday, pushing like late afternoon. I had remembered that I didn't charge my personal cell phone the night before. And so later that evening, I had plans. So I was like, girl, plug your phone out because you're going to need juice. So I have a battery pack, but I don't quite utilize it like I'm supposed to, right? So my charger sits right by my desk or underneath my desk for, quick, easy access. So whenever I need some juice, I just plug it in, whether it's my work phone or whether it's my personal phone. So I reached for the charger near my desk and I plugged in my phone. So my mind was so focused on all the things that I needed to complete leading up to my time off that I had already planned for my birthday celebration. Yes, Lord, the birthday was October 1st. So happy birthday to me. So about 2 hours had passed after I plugged in my phone, right? So you know how you just sitting and you like, let me just check my battery life percentage, let me check my juice, right? So I looked at my phone and I noticed that my battery life was even lower. So I had that real thin, like, red line. It was real low, right? So I was like, oh man, like all this time and the charger wasn't even plugged in the freaking wall, right? So I reached down to plug in the charger and I'm rolling my eyes, I'm sucking my teeth, I'm shaking my head in disbelief, wondering like, how the heck didn't I check to see if the charger was plugged in the wall? And so I'm thinking like, well, did I hear, you know how you plug in your phone and you hear the little noise that alert you that the charger, the adapter piece is actually in the phone, or you feel the phone vibrate. I couldn't remember if I heard that noise or if I felt the vibration or whatever. So, at this point, I'm like, okay, let me just reroute. Let me focus, plug the phone in, make sure everything working right and all the things, right? Because my mind was so focused on the work that I actually had to get done that I wasn't even thinking like, okay, cool, my phone not charging, whatever the case may be. So typically the wall charger, the wall piece is always plugged in the wall. So at any time I need to plug my phone in, the adapter is there, yada, 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 we straight, right? And so at that time, I started to think and reflect on what happens when we're not plugged in. And I said, isn't it funny how we experience moments in our lives where we think we plugged in, right? Plugged in to the new us, right? This new and improved us, especially at the beginning of the year where we have these vision boards and New Year's resolutions and all the things, right? We think we plugged into a better relationship, more money, our own space, whether it's a house, whether it's an apartment, whatever, a new job, a new car, better friendships because the friends that you had wasn't it. You got you a whole new circle. I'm talking like new habits, improved habits or better disciplines, or a mindset. You know how people say, oh, new year, new me. So you automatically think that you have a new mindset. But truth be told, our battery life, which I equate to our soul, our mind, will, and emotions, is literally on red. So we can think that we plugged in because we got a new space, or we got a new boo, or we have a new thing, or we moved away, we got more money, or whatever the case may be. But the truth of the matter is, our soul is just as empty, or the battery life of our soul is so low. We're literally in the red and we're almost out of juice, right? See, our battery life, our soul, sometimes can be at an all-time low. Like, it can be so low at times, yet we have such high hopes for finding an outlet in external things, external nouns like people, places, and things. And let me tell you something. There is no amount of money, no fancy trips, no new relationships, no planned revenge or affirmations, or even posts on social media that will serve as your primary outlet when you're trying to heal or increase the battery life of your soul. See, there'll come a time, a point in your life where you realize that just like the battery, you need to recharge. And when you recharge, you can evolve. You can become greater. You can become a richer version of yourself. And I used to be so irritated, y'all, by people who didn't travel equipped. Like when we would go on road trips, or when we would go out for the day, or when we would go out on trips, and they just wouldn't prepare. Like they don't have a checklist of all the things that they know that they should bring on the day trip, or when we going out to a function or whatever, right? And when their battery life will get low, they will be like, Ty, can I borrow your charger real quick, right? And immediately my first reaction is like bombastic side eye, like, bro, you didn't know you needed to bring your charger? And it's even worse when your phone is on the charger and then they ask you, can they borrow your charger? You be like, bruh, you knew you needed a charger before you left home. Why didn't you bring yours, right? So that is what that used to irritate me the most. But then as I was sitting and I was reflecting, how many times in our own personal lives have we had people that's connected to us that didn't have much juice, but you made a quality decision to say, you know what, I'm going to change this habit. I'm going to get disciplined here. I'm going to stop hanging out with these certain types of people. I'm going to use my words correctly. I'm going to work on my mindset. I'm going to be more grateful. I'm going to show more gratitude. You know, all the things. You're going to become a better person so that you can attract the things, manifest the things, harvest the things that you want to attract. You're going to become a new person so that you can eventually attract the things that you are becoming. And those things could be places, it could be relationships, it could be external things, but most of all, it could become the mental health, the emotional health, the physical health that you necessarily need. But because of the people that you are hanging around, or the people that's in your circle, the people that's in your family, the people that you work with, sometimes their battery life, their soul can be so low because of their own personal experiences, circumstances, events, and all the things that go on in their life. And they could just be so consumed with other things that they start to attach themselves to you and want to suck your juice out, right? They want to drink everything that's in your cup. And as we know, you can't give, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And you got to be mindful who you allow to be in your space, because if not, as you fill out, just as quick as you fill up, they will take from you. And it reminds me of this parable that's in the Bible, right? And it's a parable about 10 virgins. The 5 of them were wise and the other 5, they were foolish, right? And I'm going to just give y'all a real quick summary of what the parable was about, because I find it to be so good, right? It's so relevant to the times in which we're living in and any of our experiences. So it's a parable in the Bible about 10 virgins, right? Or 10 bridesmaids, right? And 5 of them were wise, 5 of them were foolish, right? And so all of the bridesmaids, all of the virgins, right, they knew that they needed to go travel to meet this bridegroom, because the bridegroom was coming into town, right? And it was supposed to be this whole wedding, this feast. They were supposed to party. It was a whole function, right? It was a whole vibe, right? So everybody knew that they needed to travel. So that means that they needed to go from their house, their town, their city, their country, to go to a different city, to a different town, to a different country, whatever the case may be, right? To meet the bridegroom, right? So they had heard, of course, on the way that the bridegroom, that he was going to be late or whatever. So they all grabbed their lamps, because of course at the nighttime back then, it wasn't no flashlights or nothing like that or whatnot, right? So they grabbed their lamps, and it was like these oil lamps, right? So you needed oil to do what? To keep the lamp alive, to keep the light on, right? So they all grabbed their lamps, and 5 of them, they brought extra oil to be what? To be prepared, right? And then the other 5, they didn't quite bring any oil. They was just like, we're going to be good, whatever the case may be. So as they waited for the bridegroom, the whole group, they ended up falling asleep. So at midnight, they heard the shouts or whatever that the bridegroom was coming, that, he was set to arrive, or that he had arrived. And so everyone had to get up and go meet him, right? So when they woke up, they grabbed their lamps, but the foolish bridesmaids, they didn't have enough oil, right? They didn't have enough oil to last them throughout the night. So at midnight, it was like their lamps was either dim or it was like going out. So the foolish bridesmaids had asked the wise bridesmaids, like, girl, give us some of your oil. Like, clearly ours have burnt out, so let us borrow a little bit. So the wise bridesmaids, they was like, absolutely not. We don't have enough for everybody. Y'all should have brought some extra oil, because you just never know. So the wise bridesmaid told the foolish bridesmaids to go buy some from the people who might be selling oil in the town, in the city in which they was in. So the foolish bridesmaids, they went and purchased the oil. So while they went to go purchase the oil, the bridegroom, he had came in to town, right, while they was gone. And so the wise bridesmaids who were ready, who had the extra oil, right, to pour in their lamps to keep the light on, they went to the wedding feast with the bridegroom. And at the end of the story, the foolish bridesmaids, they went after they tried to go and find some oil or whatever, they went to the function. They went to the wedding feast or whatever because they wanted to join the party, but they couldn't because they wasn't prepared. And then when they walked up to the function door, when they walked up to the wedding party door, it was closed and it was locked, and they was all shocked, surprised. They clutched their pearls because the doors was locked. So I guess they ended up knocking, and the bridegroom was like, absolutely not. The doors are closed. You wasn't ready. And so he told them, I don't know you. Always be ready. So because they wasn't ready, they missed their opportunity. They missed their opportunity to be in the function. They missed their opportunity to do all the other things that could have possibly happened inside of the function. And so how many opportunities have you missed out on simply because you wasn't prepared? How many times have you quoted, I'm not going to, I will never, I'm done with this person, I'm done with that person, I'm changing, I'm blocking, I'm moving, I'm removing? How many times? Like, how many times have you given yourself away mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually to unequally yoked people? How many times have you placed your dreams, your goals, your ambitions on the back burner because you wanted to fix everybody else's life but your own? Okay, I should park it right there, Ayala, because you think that you can fix everybody else's life and your life is so jacked up. You want me to mind my business on that one? Okay. But how many times have you started and then quit it? And I know, because I've been there. I looked at all these external factors and was like, oh no, I can't do that. But how many times have you started and then quit it because you were not born with a silver and gold spoon? How many times have you started and quit it because you said, you know what, I didn't have advantages like some people growing up. Like, I grew up in the hood and all the things, right? How many times have you just said, you know what, I can't do this? How many times have you allowed fear and doubt to cause you to self-sabotage yourself? How many more times are you going to blame your parents for what they didn't do? How about they didn't know? And even if they did know and still didn't do, when you were going to take, you say, you know what, I still don't have the advantage. Or when do you want to take advantage of what they did do and take responsibility for what you did gain, for what they could do for you? How many times are you going to say, I'm not good enough? How many times have you showed up and still doubted yourself because you thought competition was in the room? How many times have you given up on bringing your own chair to the table because you think that there are more people that's qualified at the table, more educated, that they look the part? How many times are you going to refuse building your own table? How many more times are you going to doubt God and thinking that he doesn't have a purpose, a plan, a good future for you when he's the one that built you? How many more times are you going to give in to temptation? How many more times? See, I remember reading this quote that said, I was listening to like another podcast or something like that. And this guy was like, I don't wait to live. I choose to live while I'm existing. Each time you delay going after your dreams, your goals, your ambitions, do you know you delay yourself from actually living the life that you want to live? I don't care how many affirmations you speak. I don't care how much of these shadow journals that you do. I don't care how many pictures you put on a vision board. At the end of the day, are you prepared so you don't miss your opportunity? Is your soul, is your battery life full to capacity? Do you set your thermostat? Do you set your, every day that you wake up, do you position yourself so that you can fill up and have a healthy soul? I remember on National World Mental Health Day, I did a video, right? And I was talking about SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder, which is a mood disorder that I am learning and progressively overcoming to have the victory over, because typically during the fall and the winter seasons, right, you start to feel your moods being inconsistent. And some people would say, oh, it's your hormones, it's mood swings and all the things, right? No, it's actually being triggered by, you're being triggered in your soul, your mind, your will, and emotions by external factors. And so, you know how society, they amplify the holidays and the cold weather, and they like, oh yeah, it's cuffing season, and you know, you should be doing this and you should be doing that, and they're feeding your appetite of the things that you should be doing, like being in a relationship or traveling and posting this on social media and acting and pretending and making up and covering up, when in reality you broke, busted, and disgusted in your soul. Like, you can't even think straight. Your mindset is lacking. You're not thinking straight. You're not focused in your mindset. You don't have any discipline with your habits because you're allowing external factors to tell you how you should feel. You can wake up one morning and you can be completely fine. You see something on social media and next thing you know, you're sad. You thinking about him or you thinking about her. You thinking about what you don't have. You thinking about how you can't go around your natural family for the holidays because they full of drama. So you got to spend it by yourself. And you don't want to spend it by yourself because you don't have like, you're not whole in your soul. Like, things are not full circle for you because you're not whole. You can't even breathe in your soul because you're so suffocated in your mind, your will, and your emotions. You wonder why you can't control what you think, what you feel, or how you react, or how you respond. If you do respond, it's because you're off. You're not in control of the things that's going on in your soul. You're not thinking about what you're thinking about. You're not listening to what you're saying. You're not listening to what you're allowing in your ear gates. You're not paying attention to what you are allowing into your eye gate. So you're feeding your soul a mix of things, right? A mix of ingredients that don't necessarily go together, and you wonder why your mood is so jacked up. You got to start finding the treasure in your life and being grateful for the treasures that's in your life. Everything in your life is not bad. Everything in your life is not a challenge. Everything in your life is not a hindrance. Everything in your life is not a fear. You're choosing to make it that way because you're amplifying the problems. You're amplifying the lack. You're amplifying the scarcity that's in your life. You're amplifying some of the things that were given to you that happened to you that you didn't necessarily give permission to, right? You're amplifying those things. So it's becoming bigger than your dreams. It's becoming bigger than your imagination. right? And then you're allowing external things, external factors, external people to control your life. Like, you're not living your life under the law of control, but you're living your life under the law of accident. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just cool with whatever that happens. But you got to realize at some point, and I'm being so serious, you have to realize that at some point that your battery life is super low and that you simply need a recharge. There's no reason why you should be okay with the inconsistency in your habits, inconsistency in your mood, inconsistency in your words, inconsistency in what you manifest, inconsistency of your opportunities, inconsistency of your relationship, inconsistency with your weight. I am that girl. I am very inconsistent with my weight. So I start losing weight, then I gain weight. I lose weight, then I gain weight. I gain weight, then I lose weight. Why am I so consistent? Because there are other things that's externally controlling that, and I don't have discipline. But now I'm working on the discipline because I'm more mindful of what I'm putting inside my body. Like, I'm not allowing the things on the external, like sugar and junk and all of those things, to influence what I put on the inside of my body, which can potentially shorten my lifespan. So what are you allowing into your soul, your mind, your will, and emotions that's shortening your lifespan? That's causing you to be more angry than excited. That's causing you to be more negative than positive. I hope I'm stepping on a nerve. But you got to realize that your battery life is low at some point and that you need a recharge. And I think that the only caveat, or one of the caveats, is that you're plugging into the wrong resources, like I said, the wrong sources, as I say, or you're not plugged in at all. Like, one of the things that I had to learn on my healing journey is that, like, I really do love God. Like, I really do. I just have challenges with his people sometimes because I have very high expectations for his people to live like he does, to respond like he does, to treat people like he does. You see where I'm going, to not be so judgmental in all the things, right? But I really do love God. And I remember that because I was so church hurt at one point in my life, because people in the church, boy, they can hurt you just as well as people outside of the church, right? People of all different races, ethnicities, all the things. So I'm not just picking on them, but I remember a time and a space in my life where I was so hurt by people in the church that I wanted nothing to do with the church. And then I realized, after I was getting myself together, cleaning up my soul, doing some laundry or some spring cleaning, winter cleaning, fall cleaning, summer cleaning in my soul, I realized, bro, if I don't stay connected to the church, though I am the church, if I don't stay connected to the assembly of the brethren, I'm aborting the mission and the vision of God. That each one reach one, right? So even though I've been hurt, I shouldn't project my hurt on people who don't even know what happened to me. And those are the people that's lost. I have a part to play in the body of Christ. But if I choose to disconnect and not stay plugged in to God, to Jesus, to Holy Spirit, and remain a part of the body, remaining a part of the church, then I abort the mission and the vision of God. So I had to plug back in, right? And so just like me at that time, right? Going back to the day that I plugged in my phone. So just like me, right? Thinking that the charger, the adapter was plugged into the wall per usual, right? Because that becomes a habit, right? You sometimes think that just because you have, or as long as you have your bestie with the test as your confidant, the person that you vent to, the person that can pull up when necessary, you think that you plugged in. But friend, I gotta tell you that you're not plugged in. Just because you have an opportunity to vent, that doesn't mean that you plugged in. Or perhaps you think that just because, young fella, you have Miss Lady on speed dial and you know how to get it done when you want to get it done. You can get it when you want it. If you know what, I shouldn't be right. You think that you plugged in, but you're not. Or perhaps you think that because your favorite meal is one call or one dash away, you plugged in. But truth be told, friend, you are not plugged in. Or maybe it's social media. Maybe you think that because you got the likes and the comments, the DMs from the post that you uploaded for attention, friend, you think you plugged in, and you not, friend. You attention seeking. You disgruntled. You are uncomfortable in your soul, right? You have dis-ease in your soul. And so it doesn't matter what season or what time or what space you in life you are in. You gotta get plugged in. You gotta stay plugged in. But you gotta get plugged in, stay plugged in, and know the ins and outs of being plugged in to be better, to do better, and to have better, friend. Like, friend, you deserve so much better, but you keep quitting on yourself. You keep saying, you know what, I don't deserve this at that level. Like, who said you can't? Only you. You got to understand that you can, you will, and you must. But in order for you to get to a greater, richer version of yourself, you got to give up something. You got to give up some people. You got to give up some traumatic experiences and rewrite the narrative. You got to do something better, friend, because you deserve. And so even if you didn't grow up with a silver and gold spoon, your battery life can, or not even if you didn't, I'll change that. If you did grow up with a silver and gold spoon, perhaps you had advantages, but your battery life, your soul can be jacked up because your battery life can be low and your soul can be jacked up because you got the pressures of comparison. You're dealing with anxiety, social anxiety, depression. You got mood disorder. You self-sabotage, and you have soul resistance. Like, you have resistance coming out of your mind, your will, and your emotion because you think that you better than, or you think that you have the advantage, the upper hand. Friend, you don't. You are on equal playing field just like everyone else. It just so happened that your blueprint isn't like people who didn't have a silver and gold spoon. But let me tell you something. You need healing too. Your world isn't perfect, and I guarantee you, if you uncover those hidden secret wounds that you have in your life, oh friend, you on a good path to start freeing yourself up. But you're going to see how money really, really, really don't make you happy. Money is the answer for a lot of things, all things like the Bible says, but you're going to realize that your happiness, your positivity, your gratitude, your satisfaction in your soul, you're empty there. So you can buy all the things you want. But at the end of the day, if you're not whole, if you're not full to capacity, if you're not full to capacity in your soul, friend, you are missing out. You are missing out on truly living. You just existing. And see, here's the thing too. Some of y'all need to stop. You're living in darkness, but you're existing in the light. I'm going to back up off of that. I'm going to do a whole different rich discussion about that. But let me tell you something. Or let me ask you a question rather. If you wouldn't let your phone die, right? Why you letting you die? So if you wouldn't let your phone die, I encourage you, I empower you, I enrich you to not allow you to die. Your dreams, your ambitions, your goals, don't allow them to die. If your phone is not fully functional on low battery life, what makes you think that you can function with the low battery life in your soul? Because you're not plugged in, or you wait to the last minute to get plugged in. And last minute to get plugged in is what I'm talking about. You know how they say when you get older, more seasoned, right? You start reflecting and thinking, man, on the I shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You got regrets and things like that. Like, don't wait to that point. Charge now, recharge now, where you can, when you can. Right now is enough. And see, some of us like pushing it when we driving. Some of us like pushing it on E because it's like, oh yeah, I know how long I got before I actually have no gas. Or for those of you who have those eco-friendly rechargeable cars like the Teslas and whatnot, you know how far you get. But why put yourself in that position where you're operating on empty, and then you want to wait until you gassed out or you don't have any charge at all? You want to, I get it. You want to be like me, who was contemplating suicide and it was like, okay, yeah, I can actually do this. So you want to wait till lights out. Friend, you ain't got to do that. If you won't let your phone die, if you won't let your iPad die, if you won't let your laptop die, or whatever other electronic that you have, why allow yourself to die? Why allow your dreams and your ambitions and your goals, your vision, why allow that to die? As I said, friend, you deserve so much more. And so I'm gonna just give you three quick points, right, on charging your battery. Number one, you got to prioritize you. You got to ask yourself, what do you need? Don't wait for other people to ask you what you need. You need to know what you need, and you need to serve you. You need to nurture you. You need to rediscover you. Friend, I'm pretty certain that you have this persona that not even you recognize. Number two, you need to dream again. Use your imagination again. You need to develop a vision, friend. I'm telling you, you perish every single day you don't have vision. You perish every single day you refuse to not develop vision. And like my mentor tells me all the time, vision makes the decision. So if you don't have vision, guess what your decisions are being prompted and made off of? You need to know where you're going. Like, you need to have some direction. See, I don't like driving in the car with people who don't use navigation. And regardless of if you know where you're going, I don't like hitting traffic. So can you imagine if you was plugged into the right source, or the right sources, and you had vision? Friend, your life gonna go, it's gonna be on times 10, friend. And number three, I cannot reiterate this enough. You have to connect to a power source outside of yourself. Now, for me, it's God. For me, it's Jesus. For me, it's Holy Spirit. That's where I plug in every single time. Just this morning, I was having a very hard time. And when I plugged in, it was like, yes, I meditate and do breath work and all the things, but it's like, bruh, when I plug into God, when I plug into Jesus, when I plug in to Holy Spirit, it's like it's a surge of electricity is the best way that I can explain it. It's like I have the opportunity to breathe again. It's like I was being suffocated, and the next thing you know, I got life again when I plugged in. And I know this probably was a roller coaster of a rich discussion, but friend, I really hope that you got something. But I just got one question for you. Still friends? And I hope that you get rich and be happy trying. Love you.